Poverty has various connotations and produces a broad range of interpretations and emotions. Regardless of how poverty is viewed or measured, the impact on today's society is far-reaching and has an impact beyond those considered in poverty. The poverty line in the U.S. is the minimum amount of money required by families to meet basic needs. In today's dollars, a family of four with two incomes totaling $24,000 faces annual expenses of $37,543. This is considered poverty. More recently, there has been a move to raising the minimum wage to correspond to a living wage. However, this is still a hotly debated issue. Meanwhile, the disparity remains. Bonnie Bazada, the executive director of Bridges Out of Poverty, says poverty cannot be defined using just a numerical threshold.
Our definition is the extent to which a person does without resources. And we think of 11 resources, and financial is one, but emotional and cognitive, mental, and spiritual, and health, and support systems, and relationships and role models, and integrity and trust, and motivation and persistence. All of these things combine to make a difference for people. So our definition is, I think, more dynamic and more fluid than saying it's just about an economic threshold. And I sometimes think we can trade off the word poverty for the word stability.
What is the public perception of poverty?
The typical stereotype is that people in poverty did something wrong to get themselves there, or that they don't work hard enough, to get out of poverty, and those are just wrong. I could never survive on the income that many of our women do. So just the skills it takes to survive on their income, I would just love to see those skills redirected.
The way we define poverty in the United States, we think of poverty as not having the economic resources to acquire for oneself or one's family basic necessities such as food, clothing, and housing.
Bridges Out of Poverty is a national program that has been introduced into St. Joseph County in Indiana. Bridges Out of Poverty is trying to help our community to understand the issues surrounding poverty through education and dedication to eliminate poverty. This is a community issue. The impact affects us all.
It really, undermines the success of this community economically, socially, culturally, racially. It crosses all those lines.
Poverty is expensive. The cost to the community is high. And I often think about, not only does it, obviously create suffering for that individual, but it locks up human potential.
People are in economic poverty. Their greater resources don't get to shine through because they're struggling every day to make it or to pay their bills.
One would think those with lower incomes have very little impact on our tax base and infrastructure in our community. Perhaps this is an incorrect assumption?
The higher the poverty rate gets, the fewer tax revenues, for one, are going to be available to the community. And the community may itself have to reach outside to state or to federal governments or to philanthropic institutions for grants to try to provide basic infrastructure. The kinds of community resources that help communities come together, libraries, playgrounds, sports activities, schools, various kinds of meeting places, and so on. And if a community is very poor, it simply cannot do that.
The lasting impact of poverty is a drain on our public, private, and philanthropic organizations. This impacts each and every one of us.
Right now, we're going in the wrong direction. Our numbers are getting more and more extreme. So we have about a third of our families living in poverty, 44% of our children living in poverty. If you're a single mother, you have a more than 50% chance of living in poverty. I keep thinking, we've got real skin in the game as a community and as a country to say, how can we solve this problem? It takes all economic classes to solve poverty, and that people in poverty need to be at the table.
When women in poverty or people in poverty move forward, our whole community will move forward. The whole community will be better.
Economic class is a fault line that runs through our community. We need to recognize these differences and use them to effect positive change. Bridges Out of Poverty recognizes that community integration and investment are essential for tackling poverty. Their intent is to approach poverty from a different angle than simply providing assistance with basic needs. The goal of Bridges Out of Poverty is to eliminate poverty, not manage it, by providing a hand up, not a handout.
We pull that lens back and kind of give people a different future story. So if you begin to think about a longer time frame, what are some things that we can do?
Bridges puts the concepts, tools, and relationships in the hands of people in poverty using community partnerships, employers, and citizens to help reframe poverty by providing insight into these 4 areas. 1. The behavior of the individual in poverty. 2. Human and social capital. 3. The exploitation of the poor. And 4. Economic and political structures.
We're a small and lean organization, but we stretch those dollars really far and impact a lot of lives.
One goal of Bridges Out of Poverty is to collaboratively work with other community organizations to collectively serve as many people as possible living in poverty. As an example, Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By world is a curriculum that brings people in poverty together to address the issues head-on.
I really believe that the Getting Ahead is a very important tool to use.
Getting Ahead is a 45-hour workshop that helps individuals in poverty build resources. Developed by professionals with the goal to end poverty, the program enables participants to explore issues in the community that impact poverty: banking, jobs, housing, transportation, and how to build resources and move toward self-sufficiency.
That's the main thing I see with Bridges, is that the sense of power over one's own life.
So yeah, it's been a long road, challenges, but I've overcame many of them. And that was through the assistance of a number of community leaders here within St. Joe County. Bridges Out of Poverty is one that's helped me to see, as far as where my life is to go.
We all have to be willing to work together, and that includes, government, business, not-for-profits, the religious community, your educational systems, financial institutions. It's a community issue, and the only way we're going to address it is if we collectively work together.
Bridges Out of Poverty is changing the odds.
Bridges assist people with transitioning from the homeless centers into self-sustainability.
People get a sense of hope and they get a sense of motivation.
Today, after taking the Getting Ahead course and completing the 2 courses of financial management, I'm in college at IUSB and actually in my junior year.
We're looking at solutions that empower and resource and support and engage people from their strengths.
Made my life easier because I know how to manage my money and just how to do things real good, how to take control, to get myself out of being in poverty, probably 10 years from now, what would I like to do, and working on my goals.
It's a great sense of hope. When you see that you've impacted a person's life and suddenly they're talking about their life and seeing it differently.
The more someone feels different than us, the more we're likely to blame them or feel less connected. That is part of the dynamic with poverty. Part of what Bridges Out of Poverty teaches is building social capital, those relationships in the community that connect people. As we see, poverty is a community-wide issue, and Bridges Out of Poverty needs the support of the community to eradicate poverty's effect.
So we're really at that innovative edge of trying to find some new pathways and new working solutions. So we need people's engagement and support and interest, whether that's getting the ideas, getting more hands-on, or giving us some financial support. Social capital are those relationships in a community that connect people. We'd invite people to come to our trainings and workshops, or invite us to come in and talk to your church, your civic group, your employment. We'd love to talk to you about poverty, how it works, and how you can be part of the solution.
Join us to break the cycle of poverty, shift from managing poverty to eliminating poverty. Consider how your organization may become involved in the proactive transformation Bridges Out of Poverty engages in our community. Be a financial mentor through Bridges Out of Poverty's innovative financial management class. Learn about what you can do to end predatory lending in our community. Sponsor a Getting Ahead participant. Or please consider making a tax-deductible donation to Bridges Out of Poverty. We encourage you to visit our website at www.sjcbridges.org and sign up for our e-newsletter. Please visit us in person at 117 North Lafayette, South Bend, Indiana, to learn of the many opportunities in which you too can help Bridges Out of Poverty's mission. Won't you consider building that bridge today?